Through the sermon series so far this year, it has been my hope that you will be led and guided in ways that will make you a disciple living in this modern age. I hope that all of you know that the power of God is in you, and that wherever you go, there are people who are hungry for mercy, forgiveness, and grace, and you have the power to give it to them. In the last sermon in this series, we talked about Saul of Tarsus going to visit the island of Cyprus, where he made his first convert, a man by the name of Sergius Paulus. And at some point thereafter, Saul changed his own name from Saul to Paul. We talked about the fact that the name Saul implies a great and powerful man, whereas the name Paul literally means small, little, and humble. And so Saul believed that the way in which he could best serve Christ was with humility. And I hope all of you will follow the example of Saul of Tarsus, emptying yourself of all but love. In today's sermon, we follow Paul, now from Cyprus, then to Antioch, then to Iconium, and then to Lystra, where we see again how God's power is revealed in that last born of the disciples, Paul. But before we get to Paul in Lystra, I want to tell you an ancient story which predates Paul and Christ by 1,000 years. It's something you need to know before we look at Paul and the people of Lystra. It's an ancient Greek legend that once upon a time, the great father of the gods, Zeus, and his son Hermes came down to earth dressed as beggars. And they went to the city of Lystra, and from door to door they asked people to give them food. And the people of Lystra turned Zeus and Hermes away, all of them, until they came to the last house where a man by the name of Philemon and his wife Baucis lived. And they were very, very poor people, about to eat the last food they had. But when these two beggars came to the door, who happened to be Zeus and Hermes, they said, "We will share with you." And they did. And of course, then Zeus and Hermes revealed themselves as the great Greek gods, and the people were amazed. Zeus and Hermes says, "We are going to kill all the people of Lystra except for Philemon and Baucis. We will allow them to live." And they asked Philemon and Baucis, "What can we do for you in return for your generosity?" And Philemon and Baucis said, "We are very old. There is nothing else we want, but we would love to spend eternity side by side with each other." And so Zeus and Hermes took Philemon and Baucis to the top of a high hill just outside of Lystra. They then wiped out the whole city of Lystra, but they spared Philemon and Baucis and turned them into two tall linden trees that they would grow side by side forever. Now that's a strange old Greek story, and you might wonder, what does that have to do with the Bible? Zeus and Hermes aren't in Scripture, but wait a minute, they are.